Hello, this is BJ from Hearns Hobbies, and I have something a bit special today. We have a test shot of the upcoming Copper State Models 5.3 centimeter Gruson Fahrpanzer. Actually it says 5.7 on here, but this is a pre-production print and it's actually the 5.3 centimeter version. Now what is a Fahrpanzer? Well, let's look at the box from the top here. Really nice box art. Box art is really nice from Copper State Models all the time. Fahrpanzer is actually like a pillbox. It's got a artillery piece inside an armored pillbox section. And these were first deployed in the 1890s and used all the way into World War II. They were designed to be mobile emplacements, so it wasn't actually used while it was it may have been used while it was mounted on wheels, but the idea was this was just a transportation system and the pillbox was actually fixed into locations to fortify defenses. And it could quite easily be moved around when the front changes, and they were also mounted on narrow gauge rail, so they could be easily pushed around. They could be pushed away, so they could be protected during heavy bombardment and then pushed back out for fighting. So let's see, we don't actually have many details on the box yet, as this is the prototype. But we'll have a look at all the parts, which I do have here. And let's look at, this is the main set of sprue. Now Copper State Models, if you're not familiar, is a Latvian company and they specialise in World War I subjects. Notably 32nd scale aircraft, which was their Newport and their new Bristol, which has just been released, and also 35th scale armoured cars. And so this is a little bit of a different type of subject in that it's not powered at all. Now the kit itself is designed to be just a pillbox on its carriage, so I'm assuming that on its limber it could have been pushed around by manpower, and it was also moved around by horsepower. Now the horses aren't included with the kit, but they will be available as resin options. And I do have some other options which I can show you a bit later on. But firstly, let's have a closer look at this particular sprue. All right, so let's just get in there really nice and tight. Oh, is it focused? There we go. All right, so here's the main framework of the limber. There's some really nice hatch detail or treaded plate detail. So I'm going to bring that up by moving the angles around. You can see how all the molds are super clean. We've got the gun bridge in the two halves here. We've got some elevator type wheels. I'm not too sure what this is, but it may be a mount for the gun. Got some other sections here. We've got more of the framework. Here's the armored section, the top of the pillbox, or the Fahrpanzer, and see how it's been textured. It's got the cast texture in it already. We've got the, what do you call them, the fenders, or the mud guards. There's the base. This will be the gun pedestal. Got some really nice sort of rivet detail. And we have a seat. Quite fine supports there for the back. Some other framework. And as we go back over this side, this is probably parts of the limber as well, and then you'll see that the gun barrel is molded upright like this. Now the advantage of that is it's simpler to do than slide molding, but it gives you the same advantages of slide molding. So you've got the hole down the center of the barrel, and it also has no join line down the center of it, because it will just have a little bit of cleanup down the bottom. So it'll be a super clean mold. And the other clever part are these supports here. So these are molded in just to protect this part while it's in the packaging. You notice that it's been done in these areas here as well. So a very clever idea in protecting and molding the parts to get the maximum out of them. So that's very impressive. So that's the largest sprue we're looking at here. Now let's look at the next piece. This one here, a little bit smaller. Now let's see if we can recognize some of these bits here. Let's zoom in nice and tight again. Okay, so there's a lot of fine details here, and you can see just how small some of these things are. Super thin detail just adds to everything. Here's the main limber. We have some ammo. Here's the shells. So that'll be 2 parts. Got the bottom of the shells there. This appears to be the axle, I think. Might be wrong there. And then we've got some more framework. A curved section. Could be part of the armor. And some more fine bits and pieces. Okay, and then we're left with the 2 remaining sprue, which are in fact identical. Okay, so identical sprue is quite clever. It allows the tooling to be simpler, which means less tooling ends up being a more affordable kit because I don't need to factor in the additional tool. So let's have a closer look at just one of these. Okay, and bear in mind that what we're looking at, there's going to be 2 of these. Okay, so we've got these little wheels here. And where are the little wheels? Let me look at the... Oh, okay. So these are right there. They're little ones on the front there. And there's the bigger wheels there. And see the spokes, and there's actually really fine rivets, which are on the insides there. Here we go, the large one. Again, you can see the rivets, quite pronounced. Really small exterior details. And then we've got bays of ammo, which are all the way on the inside of the pillbox. And some of the other smaller details here. So here's the armored sections. Okay, so they're the sides. And of course, having 2 sets, you'll have the full cylinder. And the other small bits. So that's pretty much it. But before we go, let me just go back to this one because I forgot to show you these fine details here. Because we're looking at this side. These are actual back doors of the Fahrpanzer. But if we turn them around, they actually have fully loaded door panels. And all the detail is molded in. So over here you've got some tools, section of chain. Definitely makes a simpler mold. And they are molded very well. So with a bit of wash, they'll add quite a bit of depth to them. So you don't have to worry about them, needing to look like they're sitting proud of the surface. But if you do want something a bit finer, there is an alternative. So there we go. So they're all the plastic parts of the Fahrpanzer. So if we look again, I actually show the doors open here, and the doors are indicating all the spare parts and all the tools that are required. Got the limber, it's all across here, and then here's the main section here. So if you can imagine, the Fahrpanzers would be moved around on this particular limber. They use horses to move it long distances, or I guess it could have been pushed by a train of men from a short distance. And then this would actually be removed and be put onto a rail or just put into an emplacement. Very nice indeed. Okay, so let's look at some of the accessories. So I've been lucky enough to get some sample accessories, and these are actually resin and they're 3D printed. So let's get in really tight and get some really good. Actually, I'm going to go really tight on this one. Oh, it might be too far. Okay, let's have a look here. If I can get that focused. All right, there you go. Okay, so these are an optional extra. I'll take them out of the bag so you can see the detail better. These are the optional doors. And you can see how these parts have been molded, or not molded, they've been printed, I guess. And they have more depth to them because you can actually do undercuts, whereas a mold in plastic injection wouldn't be able to get any undercuts in there at all. So if you want something a bit finer, then these are your options here. So you've got one side which has got a lot of the boxes on it, and the other side with the chain and the other tools. That's quite nice. Okay, I'll keep it zoomed in. We'll move on to the next one. Okay, so these are quite impressive. So these here are the 3D printed ammo boxes. And you see how the shape is quite different because they have been simplified in the injection molded kit, but these are much more accurate. And these have been printed in single pieces, and they're actually fully loaded with ammo. And there's one which is open, and you can see that some of the ammo has been taken out. And there's separate doors. Again, I'll take it out so you don't have to see the reflection of the bag. But look at this, this is quite exquisite. Let's see if we can get that a bit sharper. Okay, so you get quite an array. These are all mounted all the way around the inside of the Fahrpanzer. They're fully loaded with ammo. And you can see there's one here. Actually, this one's empty. You can see straight through it. And then this one is partially loaded. So you can imagine the gunners are just grabbing a shell at a time and popping them in, and there'll be the few that they haven't grabbed. You see the framework inside? Definitely adds a lot of extra detail. Really nice touch. Superb printing. This 3D printing is absolutely mind-boggling. Super fine. Okay, from there we have this option. This is actually the track. So it has some sharper details in it. Let's see if I can open this up. I think I sealed this up too well. Here we go. So you can see the track sections here. I'm not too sure how this actually sits. I'm assuming it goes like this. Don't really know how they worked. You'd assume there would be some wheels or something, but yeah, I guess there will be some instructions. I'm not that familiar with this particular model. We can see how there's side mounted rivets, and you would never be able to do that with injection molding. Injection molding, you got one tool that comes from the top, and these will all be elongated, but these are perfectly separate, and that's because they've been able to be printed that way. Super clean. And then finally, we have this packet here. And this one has all the really fine external details. And some have actually broken off, unfortunately, because they came from a long way away and it's moved about a bit. So they're broken free from their supports. If I'm careful, I try not to lose anything here. All right, there we go. All the bits are out. Okay, so some bits that have broken off there. But as you can imagine, these would be super fine. Much finer than the plastic molded ones. Let me see if I can focus that a bit better. Really tiny bits and pieces. I have no magnifier at the moment, so I couldn't tell you what these are. Hopefully they'll come up on the screen okay. So you just need to break them off from their supports, and you can see how there's the supports there for the oval shaped items there. How cleanly they've already broken off. So it just needs a light sand. And these have also been printed with protection rods, I guess, or pillars. And that's optional extra too. And I think there's going to be others. There's going to be shells, and I can't remember the rest, but there's quite a few different options. And particularly, I guess, the horses And there's going to be a driver figure and also other standing figures as well, gunner figures. So look out for those. So this is expected shortly, and I think it's going to be quite an interesting kit, and a diorama would look awesome too. So this particular kit is the 5.3 centimeter Gruson Fahrpanzer. So look out for this, and it's coming soon from Copper State Models. Thank you for watching.